I have exploration of this level a little bit unfinished, but I'm not sure if I want to continue it. We have a lot of quests already, so I think it's better if we start just going after these quests instead of trying to collect more and more and more and more and thugs who have been harassing Qian don't care. Find help for errands. There's a surgeon slum section, so you think that someone there could uh, at least shed some light on this? Missing patrols. I'm guessing that we're going to solve this by simply playing. Don't need to go after it specifically. Find a mall that leads to a lost anchorage. How? There's no way to know where it is. I should look for a mall that leads there, yeah. Help Tiber. Little Nihliesh. Well, that's an actual goal to go after. Tiber sense that Ovin might be little. Yeah, go there. It's a definite goal to go after.
Doing begets learning, I guess.
It's a junkyard, basically. As you enter the slum, you nearly crash into a small confrontation. 5 mutants surround 3 guards dressed in the distinctive garb of the Memovira's enforcers. This must be one of Braska's lost patrols. Before you hear them say a word, you already know the mood here is ugly and it's likely to turn to violence soon. A mutant who looks like his face is full of spores or insect eggs leans toward a disgusted, terrified human and says, "You're leaving a trail of fear piss. Who'd pay you for protection?" One of the other guards, less phased, pushes the mutant back. "It ain't fear piss. It's the spit you're spraying when you talk. Why didn't you go hatch your eggs by burying your face in a pillow? Real people are conducting business here." Second mutant, one who'd been observing the fracas, noticeably bristles, thorns literally emerging from his arms, shoulders, and face, and he pushes forward. "Every damned one of you looks the same. 2 arms, 2 legs, no surprises. You want to collect our money? I'll make you eat it, and your friends can collect it from your rotten shit." The mutant punctuates each sentence with an increasingly vicious stab of his finger. You can feel a bloody tide rising, and if you wish to intervene, the clock is winding down. Crisis. Except the fight is still not hasn't yet started. Gain the mutant's trust or choose a side by talking to both sides' leaders. The mutants will attack the guards if they get angry enough, so talk to mutants, I guess. I mean, I want to say the patrol to get the reward, and I have no side in this. So, yes. Spiny mutant is the leader, and then there's the sergeant. So I guess the spiny mutant is who we need to talk to. You focus on the thorn-covered mutant, and the way of your gaze turns his head. "What do you want, human? You want in on a long-due bloodletting? You'd better talk fast. We're itching to get started." The spine-covered mutant's eyes remain focused on the Memovira's enforcers, his mouth growing thinner and thinner. Ask the mutant leader how the situation started. He snores. "They came to collect their protection money for the Memovira. But the Memovira can't enforce anything. She is weak. Everyone knows it. Look at these poor specimens. They can't even protect themselves." Skepticism and distrust mar the mutants' already unpleasant faces. They don't know or trust you. So I need to talk to them with a billion guys. Okay. What else can I do? If it turns into a fight, it turns into a fight, but... Ooh. This guy is good at persuasion. Urge them to keep the patrols alive. See if we have other options. Offer to pay to let the humans go. Who is in charge of this area? I feel we probably have at least a turn or two before this turns to shit, so I think we have the luxury of going through some options. I can use the cast off to try the persuasion too, so... This arouses tight laughter from the assembled mutants. You'd recognize Garkojo if you saw it. Our prince lives in the tank in the center of Little Nihliesh. Not beyond mobility, our prince. Laughter resounds again, and then the mutants focus on the enforcers. The mutants grumble at you, cursing your intervention. I'm going to try to do a persuasion this time. Or maybe not. What kind of a leader is Garkoto? On the second turn, if I haven't gotten anywhere with this questioning, I'll basically try to persuasion check on the last cast-off's turn. The thorny mutant steps back a moment. Garkoto is wise. Garkoto is crafty. Garkoto thinks in circles and in mazes to find the best results for our people. Garkoto almost never takes direct action. Says that hasty choices become their own legacy. The mutants grumble at you, cursing your intervention.
I feel like I can take on the world!
This is not the character to do a persuasion deception checks. Ask how the Memobira might retaliate. We'll leave the persuasion deception things on Tybir and the last cast up. They burst into laughter and their Hawthorned leader replies, "What can she do? The bloom is done with her. Her grasp be weak." The mutants grumble at you, cursing your intervention. Yeah, I think we need to do a persuasion check right now. Except Eritis can't do it. I think. And say how much care for these humans' presence will be shed of them soon enough. Yeah. Do I have to do it check with this character though? Probably. Now we need to persuade. Remind the mutants that Garkoto would likely not approve of starting a war with the Memobira. Yeah, okay, this was a much easier check than I thought. Well, the prince did tell us to keep to ourselves, head down like. Garkoto might be angry if these goons die. The mutant's eyes soften slightly, but his thorny fists remain clenched. The atmosphere of rage and hate seems to be fading. You even see one of the mutants smile, at least it looks like a smile. Persuasion. Keep them alive. Now this is a much harder one. Still, easy for us. The mutant's leader looks at his fellows and back at you, and he makes some calculations. We understand you want to stay on the Memovira's good side, but this has to end. Unless you can think of another way, we've got to put them down before they steal the last shin in Little Nihliesh. The mutants no longer look to their thorny leader. They're re-watching you. They want to avoid a violence. Maybe I should have talked to the sergeant too. Convince the mutant leader to let the guards. What are my options? Persuasion and intimidation. Not her. Not her. No, 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 no. Can I back away from him? Yeah, just do it. Rin is so intimidating.
I'll remember that.
The mutant's leader looks at his fellows and back at you, and he makes some calculations. As you say, he replies, scowling at his companions. He says to them, "These are deaths we can save for another time, No point in bloodshed with outsiders witnessing." They too look at you, and some unspoken agreement fills their eyes. The human sergeant wastes no time. "My thanks," he says over his shoulder as he hustles his troops toward the exit. "We won't forget this." "Much obliged for your help. The Memovira will hear of this." Oh, that was new. You can see vague figures moving around inside the bubble-like house. It's not clear how they get in or out.
All right.
Why are we here? Spherical tank. Mall. To Katina Interior. That's here. We're here for the hybrid thing. Although I don't know who. Gar Koto. So he lives in a tank. The statue depicts an eyeless, many-breasted mutant. It appears to be screaming.
Of course.
The statue is identical to its twin, except for the fact that its head has fallen. This isn't Delny and Bronny, like the creatures harassing the innkeeper in the first section. Herja, I guess.
You bet.
Who am I supposed to find here? Hello, Mr. Bomb.
Why not?
I wonder what this maw is. Arrogance, perhaps, with a color green, or girls with antlers? Well,
No.
see that maw? It erupted out of the wall and destroyed my damned house. Okay. How exactly do you find out?
Nothing.
A construct lies motionless and partly disassembled here, spider-like legs splayed about it. A piece of knowledge clicks into place. This was a creature known as an accelerator, a machine intelligence housed in a mechanical frame. Though they appear fearsome, the creatures are terrified of death and are always seeking new technology to incorporate into themselves and into the hope of prolonging their lives. Inspect. You study the remains of the construct, putting the details together, noticing scattered piles of refuse and burnt holes in the back of its armor. The construct was likely cornered here and tried to flee up the mounds of trash rather than fight its tormentors. They attacked it from behind, and it fell, either dead or dying. You peer between the plates into the carcass's interior. Judging by the scratches, gouges, and broken components you see inside, someone purposely jammed a blunt hole into the construct's innards in an attempt to crush its vital systems. Whether this happened before or after its death is unclear. Then you notice something odd. Some of its wounds are partially repaired, as if someone has been visiting the dead construct and haphazardly patched over the burnt holes. You search for a few minutes but find nothing of value. Scavengers must have long ago picked this construct clean. Absently, you lay your hand upon the metal shell to push yourself away from the wreck and feel a faint, intermittent vibration. Reach into the hulk and find the source of the vibration. Whose quick fingers? Your quick fingers? You're more quicker, right? I have to say, I don't. There's a lot of skills in this game that don't end up being all that worthwhile in most of these skills. It's much more, I suppose, useful to develop the skill pool or attribute pool, or the attribute edge. Maybe it'll get harder in the end. I mean, the checks. I don't know. Also, it might be. I'm not sure how the game is balanced for what type of a group. But so far, well, I've been trying to avoid as many fights as possible, though. So the game could have had serious challenges if you just pick fights. But I've done the exact opposite, so yeah, it's very hard to say. Putting your shoulder up against one of the construct's vertical vents, you reach into the dark, probing carefully, following the vibrations rippling toward you. Straining, you walk your fingers up mesh-swaddled objects across a cable to a partially crushed cube strung with frayed wires. You recognize the cube as the construct's intelligence casing. It was catastrophically and perhaps deliberately damaged. Construct is well and truly dead. You carefully shift a loose hunk of metal from the cube's surface aside and keep looking for the source of the vibration. A wave of wordless sorrow crashes over you, tinged with flecks of hope. Your gaze shifts back to your hand and the hunk of metal. The alien emotions came through it into you. As if summoned by the thought, a small floating sphere drifts into view. It prods at the cube with a beam of light, then vibrates softly. What's the sphere at work? The sphere drifts around the inside of the dead construct, occasionally halting to... Yes, it's repairing damage, as if patching holes in the armor will bring its host back to life. Every few moments it returns to the broken cube and attempts to repair it again. When nothing happens, the sphere vibrates. And when that happens, you hear a soft series of whirring clicks. You listen to the soft clicking for a while until you realize you are making the sounds yourself, beneath your breath, speaking words of grief in a machine tongue. I'm sorry, I forgot, come back, come back. Take the sphere and the module. You pull the communication module from the surface of the cube, and the sphere follows, shivering in the open air. It turns as if taking in the ruined hulk one last time, then it settles into your open palm obediently, shuddering. Surgeon Sphere. Heals 2 to 6 hit points per turn, active for 5 rounds. Bonded artifact. This little spherical flying automaton is a faithful companion to whom bears a small module used for maintaining telepathic connections with the automaton. If the bearer is damaged, the automaton is activated and tries to repair the damage. The automaton's mind has a tendency to wander, and it takes some mental acuity to maintain its focus through the telepathic connection. Though it seems like an ideal companion, the automaton has not historically provided long life for its owners. Tales tell of a rough-hewn and simple glaive who took a very direct approach to any problem she faced, depending on the surgeon's fear to recover her wounds as she flung herself in the battle. Unfortunately, one day the spear found more interest in a passing butterfly than her fight with a deadly calarail. Yeah, that's how deadly the calarails are. Um, in general, I don't like that where you have a lot of stories and comparisons to creatures that I have can have no knowledge about. It's it's like writing a sentence, but I mean the description is meant for me as a player, and if it's nonsensical words just added to there, it's not helpful. I can make connections, guess what it means, but I don't really understand what it means. So I don't prefer those. I'd rather have it basically explain to the player what it means, more or less. If it uses these weird creatures, I'd appreciate if we would actually have a chance or opportunity to either have some kind of understanding what type of creatures we're talking about. Either encounter them or have some kind of a tome or something or a database to look for it. I'm not quite sure what this is not a large area. There's like one extra area and two more points of interest. So
Alright, here I go.
we should be able to find the clue we're looking for very quickly. The striking woman towers over you. Though she seems gaunt and her skin is pale, even whitish, she still has a healthy glow that shines through a layer of dirt and grime. A flat circle of metal is affixed to her forehead, showing through her long blonde hair. As you approach, she begins to flex and tense, not in fear but in preparation to fight. Her heavy armor is scarred by energies and battered by blades, but it seems to have retained its integrity. The sigil of two crossed swords is etched into the breastplate. She glowers. Have you come to beat the poor prisoner? Then be ready to tell your friends about the day her job bested you. Then she studies you more closely. Or have you come to question me? Tell Garg Koto that my answer is unchanged. He can rot in his soup. He pauses for a moment. I would appreciate an honest soup. The food they provide here would shame a Murden. I have no idea what you're talking about. Her jaw stares at you for a moment, as if weighing the truth of your words. My apologies. I have been in this place too long, and I'm leaping to unwarranted conclusions on the basis of no evidence. So, she scans the crumbled ruins that surround her, contempt in her eyes. Do you want to ask me something? What is that sigil on your armor? She looks down, frowning as if she had forgotten she wore such an emblem. This is the symbol of the Angolan Knights. The crossed blades represent the ability to step beyond the laws of nations in order to deal true justice. We seek to reclaim the world for humanity's life. Okay, tell me about the Angolan Knights. Her face lights with passion. The symbol of our order represents our willingness to step beyond the bounds of propriety and advance the cause of humanity. She looks around and lowers her voice. Actual humanity, you know. She tosses her hair. If we must take up the blade to mete out justice, we do not hesitate.
We travel Midgard for the betterment of all, and those who oppose our mission soon see the error of their ways. In the steadfast, the order of truth itself blesses us. I am a knight marshal in our organization. I have proved myself many times over, and I will continue to do so as long as I draw breath.
She leans back, her eyes closing.
Our hunger for justice brings a great physical hunger as well. One council, I recall, they brought us fresh waters distilled from the dew of the mountains, roasted and spiced anise, and exotic flaming cheeses. We do not ask anything of those we ate, but sometimes their largesse humbles me.
Uh, what exactly are you doing here?
These mutants have accused me of a crime. They tell me that I must confess to this imaginary horror before they will let me go. So here I sit, rotting away while they ask me to choose between the truth and my freedom.
She rolls her shoulders and looks you squarely in the eye.
I choose to honor the truth.
What? Let's talk about these allegations.
The mutants claim that I poisoned them. A number of them died, and they decided that I was to blame. That's all they are, allegations. Garkoto has no right to imprison me.
Yeah, I don't think you're telling me everything. The mutants must have some reason to be suspicious of you. Ooh, that's a hard one. Yeah. Excellent. For once I feel like my skills and focuses are actually worth something. She studies you carefully, weighing your words against some internal barometer. At last, she says,
Yes, it's true that I poisoned their water. I could not enter Nihliesh itself, but I had heard that this bastard offshoot of their clan. I wanted to slay one of the Fahad. I took the journey from the steadfast under considerable peril, and I brought death with me. This is the first time that I have tried something like this. I do not regret what I did. The mutant prince wishes to see me show remorse, but he will not have the satisfaction.
okay. What can you tell me about Garkoto?
The mutant prince, it. I need to remind the mutant is both male and female, swims in its disgusting stew of a tank, bathing in its own filth, and somehow it summons powers that keep the rest of its creatures in line. They said Garkoto was a wizard. I didn't believe them until the mutant imprisoned me with its power.
Okay. Tell me about the power. So the exit is over there, you could easily overpower the mutants. Why don't you just leave? For a moment her eyes threaten to tear, and then she steels herself.
Prince Garkoto has cast a spell on me. Here, let me show you.
She steps toward you, reaching a hand out to grasp your shoulder, but before she can touch you, her fingers begin to bend as if they had encountered an invisible wall.
You see, but in case you think I jest with you.
She hurls herself at you, shoulder first, and she rebounds dramatically, staggering backwards.
I'm confined to this place until I confess. Test it for yourself.
You lift your hand and wave it through the air. You can even step close to her and you feel nothing. She takes your hand and says,
Now step back.
You do, and at the exact point of where she rebounded in the air, her hand is torn from yours.
They have to have their criminal. I suppose I fit their bill.
Yeah, because you are the criminal. So, why have you been imprisoned?
I told you already. I tried to poison the mutants here, to remove their taint from the world. But I failed. A few of them died, the old, the sick, but most of them were only sickened for a time.
Right. So, okay, we probably completed the quest there without us knowing. The problem is, I'm starting to think the Goto character is the one we're looking for here. The Tiber's lover.
Mind if I do?
Because if not, yeah, we're running out of
I'm
people
going.
otherwise. One door. Okay, didn't even notice him. The structure was built in style you've never seen before. The stone is pre-detonation. Okay, maybe it's this one. Primper. Okay, yeah, there's quite a few more than I thought. About half a dozen people. A stunning man in formidable garb greets you with arms wide open. His golden eyes stir strange, unbidden feelings in you. My friend, he says, spreading his arms. Welcome, I'm Entazon. The sound of his deep, rumbling voice makes you think of a waterfall at the rise of the morning sun. Beautific and profound. It makes you feel drunk. So he has some kind of an ability. Then you see Rin taking a step back, putting you partially between her and the man. She cocks her head to the side, still wary and cautious. Do you know this man, Rin?
I know you're busy, but could we talk?
No.
She sounds certain, but her expression suggests she's still mulling it over. Now, what can I do for you? He says, with a puzzled glance. Very well. What is it? She looks as though she's about to say something, then shuts her mouth. This happens 3 times before she gives up. Did you want to talk to me about something?
Yes. No. She covers her mouth with her hand. Never mind.
You were acting strangely around Ain Tazan. Why?
I don't know. I would remember if I'd seen him before, wouldn't I? If I'd been in this terrible place? But maybe we should see what he can do, just in case.
Okay. Study the man. You watch him quietly for a moment and something odd happens. His gaze thickens, drifting away from you, as though you have vanished, as though you are only visible to him when you are speaking. And yet, you still feel that probing warmth within your mind, like fingers searching a dark space for treasure or food. Are you trying to hypnotize me?
No.
No, not trying. Trying requires effort, and the effect is quite beyond my control, he says with a slight genuine smile. The effect is caused by my passion for studying the web of connections between people, even separate by words or... He pauses, his smile fading. Death. Even in death, connections persist. His humor continues fading. He seems thinner now, frailer, less human. His voice is a dry, papery, ancient thing. My studies took me all over this world and lands beyond the stars before I finally came to the bloom. Here my hunger took on a more literal meaning. With careful hands he opens his clothing, exposing a maw, one of the bloom's ancient mouths. You sense otherness beyond it, a gateway to a place beyond this one. I told you that my studies changed when I came to the bloom, he says. One of the maw's tentacles winds around his wrist. This is how. Amor claimed me. How we both feed, quite harmlessly, mind you, on the connections between people. I understand the sensation can be quite pleasant. The tentacle slips reluctantly from his arm. If you wish to feed us, bring a close friend to visit us. We will be waiting. Okay. Right. Would any of them satisfy you? Eantozan closes his eyes and concentrates. The silky heat fills the air. You feel comfortable, lazy, happy. He holds one of hand before him, centered on your chest, then his fingers moves over to Eridis, Tiber, and a wide smile consumes his waist. Declare a name and I will feed.
What about me? I have strong feelings toward him.
Unfortunately not. I mean no offense, but my studies require subjects above a certain age. An expression of distaste flashes over his face, well hidden by his charming smile. Not right now.
Yes. Now.
Crimper. This filthy old man is dressed in a motley of rags, arranged artfully to emphasize the inhuman reach of his needle-like fingers and the two protruding humps on his back, as if his mutations are a source of pride. He wears smoked goggles on his forehead, heart above his transparent eyelids and his noseless face. His teeth are small, even and shining white. He shows them often as he smiles to himself. His pockets are filled with trinkets and baubles that he has picked from the piles of trash. He raises his head and says, "My, what have we here? Who comes to disturb old Crimper? Have you come to search through this bounty with me? You are welcome to share." He looks at you keenly. Share, you hear? Uh, Seems like Little Nihliesh has an awful lot of trash. This is the midden of the bloom, to be sure. I've crossed through many chambers and cavities, and none of them have this kind of refuse. We mutants do not make this so much a mess, and new piles of garbage appear daily. So much work. What are you doing here? He lowers his head and grumbles. What does it look like I'm doing? I dig and I answer questions for fools. Not everything is a trash heap. Not everything in a trash heap is trash, but waste rolls abound. Why waste? Why waste indeed? He combs through a mound of trash with uncanny speed and precision. Ever find anything valuable here? His tone instantly softened, sounding almost pleased. Oh, yeah, people lose all kinds of treasures in the trash. He sits back and pushes up his goggles. Unexploded detonations, blocks of metal that spark and steam with nanospirit swarms, a marble with a cloud of insects inside, half-used healing injectors. He beams. A Caluxtrian Asvale even. That brought me many shins. What's the best item you've found? It was this. He fumbles around in his pockets, slapping at his shapeless rags before he reaches a hidden stash and pulls something out. It is an ugly vomit green cylinder made of organic material, about half the size of a forearm, covered in knots and whorls and tendrils. It looks like it might still be alive. I found this a year ago. It was buried near Garkoto's tank, and I would have missed it if it hadn't wriggled. Listen. He squeezes it and sets it down, and the thing begins to sing in a slow, discordant tone. The device shivers and rolls around on the ground, hooting and piping through tiny mouths in its tendrils and whirls, and then issues a melancholy belch. The mouth closes and the thing ceases its movement and sound. He titters a bit. I laugh every time. I had to shed blood for this one. Some humans thought to take it from me. He drops it into one of his outer pockets. Steal his ugly little music box? I don't think so. Hi, child. You ask plenty of questions about the refuse and the hidden treasures here, but not so much about finding treasures of your own. Have you ever dreamed of picking your future from the ground? I can show you, yes? I'd be happy to learn whatever you can teach me. Hey, good, good. The first possession is your hands should be on your hands. A trash picker needs gloves or skin like synth, stone, glass, or order combined in these piles, and like as not, some sharps will pierce your skin. You want none of that fluid in your core, child, or you'll end up like a crimper here, or poor wrong, not right between the ears. He continues in that vein for a time, leading you to various trash piles. This one picked clean. See how the pile is strewn, and behold, a pile of last resort. You want those relatively undisturbed. You spend some time looking for newer piles, and you're rewarded with the pleasure of sifting through some organic goop and chemical-scented tailings. But eventually you find something that may be useful, and you pocket it. Ancient Spirit Cube. It's very valuable. Intricate patterns are carved on all sides of this metal cube, which fits comfortably in the palm of your hand. It spreads warmth through your body. You can also use it. Now over here. Others hit the pile quick, but not deep. You want to go deeper than the surface, aye? But you need to go fast and careful. He shows you how to dig through a larger pile quickly and safely, maneuvering around jagged chunks of broken synth, shattered strong glass, and splintered wood. At the end, you find an interesting piece, and you take that too. Everlit. You learn quickly. You have true gift. Come back and share some time with me, child. Having paid careful attention to Crisper's lessons, you feel that you could now locate other treasures in the trash of Little Nihliesh. Okay, so that was useful. Everlit. This looks like an ordinary white candle. Ooh, this is the most valuable oddity ever. White candle set on a metal base. This material is firm, pliable, and doesn't burn or melt. There is no wick. An illegible inscription is engraved on the metal base. When you turn your eyes away, a flickering flame lights up the room, casting dancing shadows. The flame always disappears when you look back. Okay, in the box. You hold the small metal cube in the palm of your hands. It spreads warmth throughout your body. You can barely make out a soothing voice whispering softly. Listen closely. Putting your ear close to the cube, the words are starting to become clear, if fragmentary. Mighty warlords, yet so small, so you shall understand me. Your help, not free, wisdom to bestow, like so. It rapidly rattles off a series of instructions, and then starts repeating them. You're not entirely sure you could follow them, or what would happen if you do. Try to figure out the cube's instructions. Yeah, this is trivial to me. You can figure out most of the instructions, and once the intelligence points them out, the connectors and activation methods seem obvious. But a few steps are explained in an obscure manner. Go back to go forward. Resolve the crux. Go forward to go back. Only now, final. Back to forward. Resolve the crux. Forward to back. Only now, final. Right. Um, Inspect the device closely, seeing how the different parts fit the odd instructions. Each step matches a specific part of the device. It seems you have to detach the power source to rotate the core of the device, after which you can safely reattach the power source and switch the device on. Follow the instructions to switch the device on. The cube hisses and releases some kind of an energy outwards through your arms, as it courses through your body, exploring your forms somehow. It takes you a moment to realize that as it passed, it left new unfamiliar memories etched into your mind. These memories appear to have belonged to an ancient automaton craftsman, and they increase your understanding of all things mechanical. Skill level in lore machinery has increased by 1. Current skill level is specialized ++. Last cast I've permanently gained 1 intellect pool. The cube itself becomes cold and deadly silent, and begins to fall apart in your hands. You scavenge some valuable bits from the object. 140 shins. Lore machinery ++. So we're very good with machines now. Also very close to level up. But this wasn't what we're here for. But now we can go through all the shit piles. Okay. One door. As you approach this bulk of stone and fur, it starts to move, becoming less of an inanimate object and more of a man. Before you stands a giant figure with a beard so thick it seems like sculpted granite. But when you see his gentle eyes, a tangible wave of peace washes over you. I'm happy to see you, Adan. He speaks carefully, as though every word is a step upon icy ground. You have been gone too long. Yeah, I'm not the man you think I am. Central confusion crinkles the mutant's stony brow, making a sound like boulders shifting against one another. It is me, Adan. One door. Perhaps it has been too long. Perhaps you do not remember me. His shoulders sag as he says this. Yeah, I told you I am not Adan. You do not have to spare my feelings, Adan. You must help many people. It was foolish to think you would remember me. Why have you returned, Adan? Can I help you in any way? So, how are you doing? Better than before. Better than before we met. Then there was sadness in me. Rage and sadness, fed by my many thoughts. But you found the stranger inside me and took it out. He spreads his crocky palms. Since that day I have felt peace. Who was this stranger? I do not know, he says, shaking his head back and forth 4 deliberate times. But it entered my head in the accident. It was heavy, like a golden stone. It made my thoughts faster but sharper. They made me sad. They made me angry. The warmth of his smile ripples across his face. But you told me you could help. You took out the device, took away the dangerous thoughts, leaving me calm. Simple joy fills his eyes. You said you had more use for thoughts than I did. Tell me about the accident. I don't remember. The stranger held the memories and the pain. Then the stranger is gone. You took it. So, what were the thoughts? They are hard for me to remember now, but it was my voice. You should not have left them, it said. They are gone because of you, it said. You must learn from this, it said. He shifts uneasily, but when I tried to learn from the thoughts, they increased. They shouted. They would not leave me alone. Think you can help me open into Zahn's mob? Okay, but why would I do that? Maybe he'll forget the connections. Certainly don't want to beat any of my own guys.
Let's go, all. You and me.
We're trying to get Alopo to check out the Katina, but he's got the heart of a dozen. I think these two want me to die. No one who ever went into the wreck came out again. I heard Ovren has been missing for days.
Fine. On it. All right.
Right. The tank is the only thing left, unless we want to go looting random shit piles.
Sure enough.
You stand before a painted spherical tank fashioned of metal and synth. The paint is old and cracking. Inside the tank is a murky liquid, or possibly a thickened gas, and every so often you can see motion from a fluke, flipper, or strangely deformed arm within. A cleverly disguised grill on the front of the tank squawks out the distorted voice of the tank's occupant. It buzzes and moans, drawing out some words and shortening others in a burst of static. I'm Gargoto, Prince of the Fahad, and their delegate here in Little Nihliesh. The voice spits and pops. You have my gratitude for averting the violence with the Memovira soldiers, but I must know, why did you act? Well, the violence wouldn't have helped anyone, and it might have had greater repercussions. Gargoto is silent for a moment. An admirable sentiment, human. One that appears to be more and more difficult to maintain given the recent troubles plaguing us. Violence is in the air. Change comes for us all. But the Memovira does not seem to grasp this truth. The flux in the bloom, and thus the Memovira's weakness, is apparent in the instability of the moors we use for trade and transport. The old moors are closing, and new ones open to take their place. There is a new moor here in Little Nihliesh, one I would like to see opened, but the Memovira refuses to aid me. She won't even leave her fortress. But I have said enough. What would you have of me? What was the proximate cause of the fight between the Memovira's guards and your people? The tank's grill spits a shower of sparks. The bloom no longer favors the Memovira. The bloom is the source of the Memovira's power. If she has no power, the obligation to pay for her protection has vanished. We pay for reality, not promises. A distorted voice crackles with an electrical sigh. Perhaps our people have grown tired of the humans taking. Why are the malls changing and closing? Do you ask for my knowledge or my conjecture? If the first, then I must confess my ignorance. If the second... Darkoto pauses, considering, and the grill hisses and sparks when the mutant speaks again. If the second, I believe the bloom has a feeding cycle. It is an enormous organism, you know, and I suggest that these events are part of a larger pattern. Mutant's vast bulk shifts in the tank. Perhaps the bloom is preparing itself for a new Memovira. Do you want to take Memovira's place? Narkoto's laughter spills out of in a static hiss. I do not desire such responsibility, nor do I seek the attentions of the bloom. Where did your people come from? Our home is the city of Nihliesh in the steadfast beyond. My cousins of the Fahad rule over the three-tier city wisely and well. When a more portal opened in Nihliesh, we investigated to see if we might eke out a profit. We saw enough possibility that our explorers sent for me, a minor prince of the Fahad. I was to head this trade embassy. The speaker makes a slight embarrassed noise. I did not think that the moor would close behind us, but 30 years ago it did. Okay, tell me about Steadfast. You ask much of me. I can tell you only that I have heard, for our glorious city is in what they call the Beyond. The Steadfast is a collection of kingdoms, principalities, and other lesser denominations of feudalism, held together through the dictates of their religion, the Order of Truth. The Aeon priests of the Order have spread their fate far and wide. I hear they have even established a foothold in the city of Sagas Cliffs. Okay, what about the Fahad? My brethren are blessed mutants, each diverging into a new pathway for humanity. We rule over the city of Nihliesh, using the powers bestowed by our remarkable births to lead normal humanity to a new age of possibilities. We are close in spirit, yet rivals in politics, for the truth of a mutation lies in its ability to prove its use. The subtleties of our machinations are lost here, alas. Tell me about Nihliesh. The speaker is silent for a moment. The city was once a machine, a colossal device that creates churn. We built atop the machine, creating elaborate structures and impossible architectures, and our city grew into the sky. The great and powerful of Nihliesh live among the fluted spires and the arcing byways, with powered cars lifting us to the skies in a moment. The shops, the places of our people, alas, to think that I might die away from my home. The voice goes very quiet, right? I'm looking for two thieves called Delny and Vrang. I was told I could find them here. This is their home, yes. At the moment, they are hiding at the end of an alley. Okay. Pergia admitted her crime to me. I'm not sure how I want to say that, but at the same time, the information is totally worthless to me if I don't. I see. In truth, it was not a mere confirmation of her crime that I sought. I wanted her to face her victims and admit what she did. Only then would I know if she feels anything for them, if she is truly human or not. The voice chuckles. A strange thing for a creature in a tank to be concerned with. Still, I thank you for telling me. Okay.
I'll remember that.
As you turn, the speaker buzzes once more. In case word has not yet reached your ear, I am offering a bounty to the first who can open the newborn maw. and tell me what lies on the other side. Of course, the first step is to discover what the maw wishes to eat. Without that knowledge, it cannot be opened. Huh, I'll look into it. What exactly does that entail? Every maw hungers for something in particular. It will be only open after it's been fed. If I want to open the newborn maw, I'll need to discover what it wants to eat. Right. I have no idea what it wants to eat. Don't even know how to test it.
Learning begets doing. Or is it the other way?
We have that larger maw. We have Ein Thousand maw. And we have this. This appears to be the back end of the crashed vehicle you saw in the Memovira screenshot. And no clue about that hybrid thing, so I'm assuming the Katina interior. No. Actually, the Katina interior is one, the other is these thieves. Maybe they have the item we are looking for. I'll talk with these guys and leave it at that. I'm going to the ship first, the ship next, and then try to work out maybe what to do with the moss. Someone here has to know something. The sharp-faced young man reminds you of a great rodent, more prone to scampering and sidling than running and walking. Shadows play across his face, distorting his features, and you are unable to get a clear glimpse of his face. Even so, or perhaps especially because of it, he seems to bear a notable resemblance to the young woman standing next to him, their faces shifting and changing in near-perfect time. At your approach, he sniffles loudly and drools some slimy spit across your path. He wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, and though you can't see his face, his tone conveys the sneer clearly enough. "What do you want, Popinjay?" His voice echoes eerily, a slight delay between the movements of his lips and the sound reaching your ears. "Who's the girl with you?" For the briefest moment, you think you see the face of a victim in her shadows. She casts a despairing eye at you, and then the darkness fills her face with a sneer. Ah. Her? She's no one. I am wrong. I asked who the girl with you is. I said she's no one you need to be concerned about. She's my shadow and my hidden blade. You should take care I don't stick you with her. Okay, tell me about the girl. Tell me of her. Why do you keep asking about her? Delny is mine, and she will stay mine until I say otherwise. I'm the one who's interesting. I'm the one you should care about. Rang's rage seems to have loosened his control over his companion, for you see a flash of blue skin beneath the shadows. Her mouth works frantically as if she's trying to tell you to use something while her captor struggles with his fury. With an effort of visible will, Rang brings himself and her back under control. The psychic bond you have on Delny. Remove it. He laughs, a shivering peal of mirthless joy that sounds like ice breaking the glass ringing. She is mine. She'll go on my word, not yours. Strangle him, okay. If you don't let her go, I will teach you what suffering truly is. Let's try intimidation. Ooh, this is a hard one. Ooh. Might? Yeah, it's a might check. Well, it's not that hard then. The young man opens his mouth for a sarcastic comeback but realizes that you might be serious. He holds his hands up to placate you. Alright, one moment. He concentrates, or rather doesn't concentrate, and the shadows flow away from his face and body. He's a much scrawnier person than you thought, almost gaunt, and he doesn't look at all dangerous or menacing.
Making a note.
He slinks toward the exit quickly and quietly, vanishing around the corner. Pelney drops to the ground as he vanishes, and her body begins to tremble and shake. Try to help her remain calm. Rin to the rescue. Her eyes snap open in blind terror, seeking any refuge from the nightmares that seem to be replaying in her head. She sees you then, and she begins to relax immediately, her muscles unclenching one by one, and she eases out of her seizure.
Thank the gods you're not wrong.
The shadows have peeled away, drifting into the air like poisonous smoke and revealing Delny's true form. Her skin is an iridescent blue and her hair is bright pink.
He's really gone. I can't feel him in my mind. You did it. God be praised, you did it.
She shakes her head as if to clear it, and a small trickle of bluish blood runs from the corner of her mouth, where she bit her tongue or lips.
I don't know how to thank you. You must have questions.
You've had quite a time of it. How are you feeling?
Even though I'm still in the bloom, even though we're still surrounded by all of this, even though I need to make amends to everyone I robbed and bullied with wrong, I feel hopeful. Feels like a new beginning, like the night has been peeled away and discarded.
Tell me about yourself.
I was born in Nihliesh, and my parents were good people. I learned the walkways of the second tier by heart. That's how I discovered the portal to the bloom. I kept seeking traders who came back from here. They always had such interesting wares. One day I snuck after them. I wanted to see where they came from.
Her face darkens.
That was the day the bloom closed its pathway to my home. I used to think it was my fault, but the bloom doesn't seem to care for me now. After I got here and discovered I couldn't get home, I had to find a way to survive. I found 5 families who were willing to help me, and who could afford to feed me once every few days. I helped them when I could and kept looking for a way home. But as I got older,
She looks embarrassed.
I needed more excitement. That's when I met Rung.
He looks away, unwilling to say much more.
Making a note.
It was my psychic power that drew him to me. He saw what I had. He wanted to take it, use for himself. He called me an empathic amplifier. I could read people. I could make their feelings stronger. He used me to find out who the scared people were, and then we preyed on them.
Ooh, we can use her to find out what the Maw wants. How did you fall in with Rung in the first place?
He seemed dark, fascinating. The adults didn't want me to go near him, but he was like a mirror of what I wanted to be. Strong, mysterious, ambitious. I let him bend me and use my powers to make him more of what he wanted to be. But I didn't realize I was trapped until it was too late.
Okay, there's a new Maw in Little Nihliesh. Can you use your mental powers to find out what it wants?
I could, I suppose, but I'd need to get near the Maw to build the proper rapport with it. I don't think that's a very good idea.
Persuasion and intimidation. And let's talk about something else. I can always come back to her, I suppose. But at least I think we have means to open the 2 Maws we've encountered here. Not exactly what I came here for, but at the same
Of
time,
course.
not a bad consequence by any means. We probably should try to interact with the Moa ourselves first.
Let's go.
Maybe we can basically find out what it wants on our own without having to sacrifice little kids to it. I think I'll actually go
course.
to the trash we've found here. Doesn't seem like it's all that demanding. Mostly it's just picking it up.
Here comes the boredom slayer.
There's a couple more demanding things I think I'll actually want.
Why not?
That.
Why, of course.
The trash piles of Little Nihliesh illustrate perfectly the prevailing attitude that the mutants are garbage, only barely tolerated. Scent of unidentifiable refuse, leaking organics, and the sharp smell of melted synth combine in a particular odor that makes your stomach churn. But something catches your eye. A glint of metal, perhaps. Something shiny, dramatically out of place in the ooze and decay. Big. Broken Lascar helm. The encrusted field of the bloom covers this helm's surface inside and out. It looks like it would fit a human head, but the technology that created the helm is far beyond the capabilities of anyone in the Ninth World. Lights flicker from inside, and the helm intermittently broadcasts short bursts of speech in a female voice. Quest item. And we met a group of Lascar. They were cut off from their home. The disgusting garbage pile shifts a number of times as you shove its order aside, and the metal you glimpse remains tantalizingly distant. At last, though, you see a broad patch of metallic surface and snatch it before another avalanche of fetid waste collapses over it. It's a helmet similar to those worn by the last cars you have met. Might as well use it. You examine the helm more closely. It gleams underneath the crushed filth, worked with a skill unmatched in this age. Its crest seems to contain a number of dark black cells that catch and hold the light. Fine traceries in the cells look as if they might gather or disperse energies. It looks as if you could fit it on your head. Okay? Look inside. The dark and padded interior has some faintly glowing nodules and soft synth fibers, but no visible eye slits or breathing apparatus. More importantly, the helm has been collecting rotting garbage and debris for what looks like decades, and as you scoop out this sudden mass, you discover a fragmented bone, possibly that of the previous owner. You clean the helm as best you can. Closer examination of the interior suggests that it connects with its wearers through eye movement tracking. Once it synchronizes with the eye movement, the helm's internal circuitry develops a direct neural connection with its user. You suspect that it might also store past users' experiences and observations. Right on. The helm was clearly custom designed for a specific person's head, but you can fit it around your skull with some fierce tugging. The odor of decomposition fills your nostrils, as well as the accumulated filth of the bloom's trash. It is pitch black in the helm. No eye slits or breathing apparatus are immediately apparent to you. After a few seconds, a small light begins to blink in the corner of your visual field. As your eye automatically flickers to it, the helm's air clears, degassing the foul stench, and you can feel the air circulating from hidden pumps inside the headpiece. Several unfamiliar symbols light up on the right side of your visual field. Most are dim, but one symbol shines brightly. If you had to guess, the dim symbols mark functions that are unavailable at this time. Look at the bright symbol. A grid of smaller images appears. Bloom, pictures of starry night sky and images of various people. Okay, bloom. Among the many images here, you see several that depict places you have been, though their particulars have changed since these images were captured. You suspect that years have passed. The first image is of the vast interior chamber, its pathways and tendrils sprawling across the empty spaces. You see foul gases curling from its depths, aroused shops and upwardly built homes, and caravans pulled by a Aneen traversing the strands. The courtyard outside the Memovira's fortress seems subtly different, and you look at it for a moment before two observations strike. First, the uniforms of the guards are quite different from those who serve the current Memovira. You also notice that this image was taken from where the Catina's wreckage sits now. The area still looks as dingy and dangerous, but the lack of the Catina makes the space seem more open, less oppressed. The next image is of the bloom, seen from a path descending from Sega's cliffs. Though you already had some sense of its immensity, its massive bulk momentarily takes your breath away. Wedged into the cleft between two massive escarpments, the bloom is both wide and long, with taut and massive tendrils anchored to the rock face. It looks as if the creature is dragging itself toward the inland sea, very, very slowly. Final images in this collection depict Little Nihliesh, but not as you know it. Most of the people you see are ordinary humans. Garkoto's great tank is nowhere to be seen, and piles of trash are smaller, and the ancient stone buildings still serve as habitations, though an aura of squalor and disrepair taints the place, and you can almost smell the garbage. It seems nearly idyllic in comparison to the current reality. These images must be at least a decade old. Those were the images of the bloom, right? Yeah. Night sky. When you look at the first image, it expands outward again, showing a vast grid of other sights. Clearly, the owner of this helm took great care in recording the images of the ninth world sky. Either she loved the stars desperately, or she was collecting these shots to cross-reference with some other collection.
Making a note.
Have found something, the helm's former owner says. Must be certain. Must return to the anchorage and compare new data with the Navigational Codex archives. Okay, people. The pulsing moist walls of the bloom form the backdrop of these images, so your guess is that the helm's original owner met each of these people during their visit here. You see Dragogen's tall form looming over a smaller man. Dragogen's smile is sharp and fierce, and the threat implicit in the way he holds himself tells you that he is about to exact some punishment on his squawking client. The next array of images shows the observant Spec, who looks exactly the same she does in the current time. The diminutive woman is gesturing dramatically, probably in the midst of telling a story, an animated arm and coy smile shining through the static picture. The next image shown, from a distance, is the distinctive outline of what waits for prey, its spikes and blades held in a threatening pose. Some unfortunate challenger is facing the construct, her electrified blade looking pitifully inadequate to the task. The final image is that of three human men. One of them holds aloft a jagged piece of strong glass, its end bloodied. The owner of the helm holds up a hand to ward off another blow. Blood gouts in the air. As you lift the helm, you see the symbol wink out, leaving the helm interior in darkness. Anything new there? Now that the helmet... Okay. Do they know that? Bring the helmet to the owner, its owner's people. Anchorage. They might be able to tell you more about her and the codex she mentioned. Yeah, I'll leave things here, but
7 side quests already. Fuck. We just keep getting more and more and more.